Hi, my name is Nacho, welcome back to the channel. And the actors and actors interviews were held by Variety, and they decided to put two of my favorite memes, actresses together, Rachel Zegler and Halle Bailey, and have them talk about the hardships of acting. These two modern-day princesses have accumulated the most amount of controversy regarding their casting and performances of their movies. The Little Mermaid literally making people beat each other up just by being in the theater while it played, as well as losing Disney almost $160 million, mostly spent on animating Halle's hair underwater. Meanwhile, your average Ginger, and Rachel, well, she dooms any movie that she's ever gonna be on just by simply opening her mouth to talk about it. But according to some memes, there's been a slight change on the narrative being told, primarily from the side of Rachel.
Well. How the turntables...
So I watched the whole interview, which is 40 minutes long. I'm never gonna get that back. And shaving off the metaphorical carpet munching these two do to each other every second sentence, I know chicks are constantly telling each other, "Oh my god, you're so beautiful. Ah, boss bitch, you're such a babe." But hearing these two coconuts do that for 40 minutes was painful. Literally every point in the interview starts with, "You did this. I was in tears."
Yesterday I was watching the film and I was in tears every time you opened your mouth to sing, literally.
Let's have more interviews with guys going,
"Hey, Peter, nice guy."
No way!
I saw Little Mermaid that if you could give an award for most expressive eyes in Hollywood, it would go to you.
"Oh my god, this bitch is full of shit." A wooden plank has more eye range than Bailey. Maybe an award for longest distance travels between both pupils.
I mean, we're sensitive.
Yeah.
We are human
We're
beings.
actors, too.
We're actors, like, hello. I get my feelings hurt if my cat doesn't want to sit next to me. Like, literally.
Oh my god, these chicks are so lame. But I digress. Going into the interview, the first thing I noticed that instead of a normal conversation, Rachel is playing the interviewer while Halle just sits there giving the most generic NPC responses.
Little Mermaid rapped,
Yes.
and then you went right to the Color Purple set.
Yes.
How do you do that when I did it?
In other interviews, it's more like a chat between human beings. But let's start talking about the movies that were in this year that just casually feature several musical numbers. Even The Hunger Games, which I watch for free. I refuse to pay money for anything with Rachel in it, which is a glorified musical for her, and a complete far cry from anything that the high-stakes original movies were about. But I'll give them that. Both of them are very talented singers. They certainly have the pipes, and in Halle's case, also the bongos, and that's pretty much the stretch of their repertoire, cause they suck at acting. Halle has the eye spread of an actual fish, which is the only fitting thing for her playing the mermaid, and Rachel also can't act for shit. Watching the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, which again is an awfully long title, and seeing her try to pull a southern accent was ridiculous. There wasn't a single point in time when she irradiated a single shred of sex appeal, despite Lucy Gray being marketed as the sexual version of Katniss. But the big shift on tone that a lot of channels have been mentioning by this point is how Rachel went from saying stuff like this.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious.
To now saying this.
I mean, much like Hunger Games, there's just a very dedicated group of people
Fans,
who love Disney cartoons. I'm one of them.
I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
I love everything that the Disney company has put out.
And I never picked it up again.
Come to this role and make little Rachel proud.
Oh, that's why it's gonna make me cry.
No, stop, because you'll make me cry.
No.
You can almost sense the PR department breathing down her neck. Even her body language tells you that she's not being genuine.
Of why these movies were so successful when they came out. They're very good at what they do, which is why they've been around for 100 years.
Look how she's bent over and looking down and speaks in a softer tone in comparison to how she was in her other interviews.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
The fact that they also tried to pep talk the now unionized VFX artists after almost a decade of Disney suits giving them nothing but shit.
The VFX artists on Disney projects are next level.
Yeah.
Man, they really try to cover all their bases with Rachel, didn't they? Well, you there, just say something nice about the VFX artists. We need them to be happy until we figure out this AI stuff. Other than that, there's not a lot of substance in what they're saying. Outside of the constant flattering, which is probably one of the reasons why it dips in views compared to the other interviews in that round, compare anything they say to how based Cillian Murphy is when he said this.
And they don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Audiences don't like being told you should see this or you should see that. They will decide and they will generate the interest themselves.
I would highly recommend you watch that one. It's a very pleasant contrast seeing truly successful actors who are proud of their work talk about different reasons and people that made their movies great. They honestly spend considerable time talking more praises about their colleagues than about themselves. Similar case to Jenna Ortega and Ella Fanning, who have more of an engaging conversation about the nuances of working in certain particular shows and genres, instead of these two cockatoos constantly telling each other how good they are.
First of all, nobody could have done it better. It's your voice, you're just a powerhouse.
And how lucky their community should feel for having them as representatives while being famous for nothing more than having a different skin color than the original character they portray.
You are opening so many doors for your whole community as well. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and obviously for my community, it's a huge moment. You just want to do right by your community so badly. And I know that Snow White is a huge moment for them, as is the Hunger Games.
Someone's a little full of herself, isn't she?
I don't know, I guess these babies were like armor for me in a way to like put on whenever I felt I was getting consumed with other chatter of what I had heard about my casting initially.
You heard it here first, folks. Halle Bailey supports using kids as meat shields. Now, like I said before, the big thing with these two girls, if not the biggest reason behind their breakthrough, was the representation they brought into their casting. Because having a Latina playing Snow White, even though she's from Jersey, and a black actress playing a ginger mermaid in a way that heavily diverges from their books and animated counterparts is definitely not meant to be considered fanbaiting.
Being an amazing Latina woman as Snow White, like, you are opening so many doors for your whole community as well.
I want it to be this revolving door and not just I opened one door and one person walked. And I know that Snow White is a huge moment for them, as is the Hunger Games.
As someone who is part of the Latino community, I'm going to say that that is bullshit. When I think of true representation of the community, at least in my case, I think to when an Argentinian movie made it to the Oscars, because they were not expected to be there, but they were, given how good the quality of the movie was. So they broke through the barriers and put themselves next to the big dogs and said, we're just as good, check this out. Similar with sports, it's the hard work and dedication and the journey that takes you there that's inspirational. I would even have Jenna Ortega as a better representation for Latinos because she doesn't feed into that forced representation bullshit. She's just a good actress. Not Rachel, a cheap-ass race swap casting that's obviously the byproduct of racial politics that she gloats about constantly. She's a political pawn, a carrier for the message. That's also why Blue Beetle was shit. They made a Latino movie for the sake of representation packed with the most generic cliches. Mexican superhero, tacos, and Viva la Revolucion, and we fucking broke so you're gonna lose the house. Fuck. Oh man, things got a little heated there. Let's go back to the interview. Rachel goes on saying that I want people to treat me like a normal person. Have you considered not being such a...
Because it's hard being women under the spotlight. People are so critical and just say anything that they would never say to your face.
No. As much as you'd like to remind people verbally that being in the spotlight doesn't absolve you of your humanity, that you're allowed to have human moments.
Yes.
And the big difference between Halle and her that a lot of people mentioned was, despite getting a lot of heat for their casting, Halle played her part and then shut up. Rachel was a lot more outspoken about her opinion of the original movie and how she deserved this and that, and when people responded negatively to that, she then made a video crying over how hard being in the spotlight is and how she wished people would be nicer, while having a record of being toxic herself. And now she's backpedaling on all of that, saying, let's ignore the criticism and focus on how successful we are.
I'm probably just having a really hard day.
Yes.
And I am putting out a movie.
Amen. That's right.
And I feel so thankful for those moments because we're making things that make people connect with one another. And there are people out there who say things that make people want to not come together.
But one of the biggest causes for the backlash Rachel received from the public has been somewhat mitigated by Disney's PR team, who I'm guessing very warmly, yet firmly, told her to calm her non-existent tits on what she thinks about Snow White's agency or whether or not she needs a prince or not if she wants to remain employed by the company. Which is something she wants, because given what I took from the last Hunger Games, the best part of that movie are the parts where she's off screen. Halle on the other hand remains as interesting as a slice of bread, untoasted, with no toppings on it. The only thing that would have made this interview a little interesting is if they sang it. But then again, that would have meant spending a lot of money having them do the one thing they're somewhat proficient at. But that ending kind of makes you feel that despite the public being very outspoken about their opinions, the lesson has not been learned. Nothing has changed, there will be no apology because there is no consequences. Like it tends to happen in Hollywood when you're a little shit. You don't get a short stick. You get an even longer one. You can continue jamming into the ass of your hiring company and their remaining liked IPs and get paid millions to do so. I can't wait for the Daily Wire to make a Snow White live action more publicly accepted than the one made by the very same company who launched the damn animated character. But if you watch this far into the video, leave us a like. Check out this video next about what makes for a good female character. Let me know in the comments down below if you watch Actors on Actors and which has been your favorite pairing. And as always, I've been Nacho. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.